Hi, I'm Dr. Ethan Johnson, host of the Healthy Seminole Show. Access to safe, stable, and affordable housing is one of the most pressing issues facing many communities today. Rising costs, limited availability, and socioeconomic barriers continue to make housing a challenge for individuals and families alike. Today, we'll talk about what is being done in Seminole County. Today we're joined by Martha R., the President and CEO of the Homeless Services Network. Martha, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So could you tell us a little bit about what the Homeless Services Network does?
Absolutely. We are the lead organization across Seminole, Orange, and Osceola counties at getting people from homelessness into permanent housing, and we coordinate services across the 3 counties and facilitate regional planning.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges you see in our area related to stable housing, accessing stable housing?
It's a really good question. The primary challenge is the affordable housing stock. How much housing is there in our community that's available to people of lower incomes? We're really, Seminole County is a beautiful county, and a lot of people are moving here because it's a wonderful place to live. And it's really hard for fast-growing communities to develop enough housing to keep up with that growth. And so when your population's growing faster than your housing stock, which is what has happened here, then you tend to see more people becoming homeless just because there's not enough units for everybody.
Are there certain subsets of our population that may be more vulnerable than others in housing to housing instability?
Yes, absolutely. Where we see the greatest vulnerability are people who tend to have a harder time affording rent increases or competing with a smaller housing market. So we see it amongst children. We see it amongst youth that are aging out of foster care. We see it amongst people who have disabilities, physical disabilities, mental health disabilities, and increasingly we're seeing it amongst seniors, people over 55 and people over 65. Across our region, more than half of the seniors that are homeless aren't even able to access shelter, so they're literally out on our streets, which is very frightening. And then we also see it with veterans.
So obviously this is a very complex issue. So you have, on one hand, you just have the stock, there's just not enough housing for the population that's growing. But then on the other hand, you also have the affordability issue. So as prices go up and folks have stagnant wages or they're operating on a fixed income in retirement, then it becomes more difficult, even more difficult to access stable housing. So I guess what are some of the housing solutions that are being considered here in Seminole County?
Well, Seminole County is doing a good job of taking dollars that it has available to invest into more affordable housing. They're partnering with more developers. They're using some of the federal home ARP money to make that happen. So they're always looking for opportunities to create more housing stock, which is at an affordable level, which is what's desperately needed. But they also are very actively engaged in identifying landlords who are willing to rent to people who've experienced homelessness and kind of expanding the pool in that way.
So I would imagine that some people experiencing homelessness may be hesitant or may not even be seeking long-term solutions, or maybe they just see it as something that may be out of reach. What would you say are the benefits and the reason why we should, as a community, be seeking to have long-term housing solutions for everyone?
That's an excellent question. Some of it is just cost. It's cheaper actually to make sure people have a safe place to live than it is to have them cycling through our other public systems like the hospitals and jails, healthcare, treatment programs, et cetera. Because if people go into a hospital for a health crisis but they don't have housing when they come out, they're likely going back to the hospital. It's going to be additional cost. So there's a lot of research that shows it's much more cost effective for a community to make sure it has adequate housing stock for people with low incomes. We also know, I think everyone in the community feels better when we know that our neighbors have a place to live. Everyone feels, no one wants people being vulnerable out on the streets, vulnerable to crime, vulnerable to weather, vulnerable to all the things that people who are on our streets face every day. I think Seminole County is a caring community and a strategic community. And I know that nobody in Seminole County thinks it's okay for people who have disabilities to sleep outside. That's not really an acceptable option. So it's good on the cost side, it's good on kind of the community side, and obviously it's really good for people who've experienced homelessness, that when they have stable housing, it helps them better to obtain and keep jobs. It helps them to take care of their health better, to seek appropriate services, to stay engaged in those services. Quality of life goes up significantly. Children perform better in school. Children have fewer health crises later. Seniors have fewer health crises. So it's a good thing for everybody.
Right. I love the way that you've described that as well, because I think a lot of times people may see or hear something around affordable housing or housing folks experiencing homelessness as something that's just the right thing to do. But it's not just the morally right thing to do. There's all of these other societal implications when you have safe housing for everyone, safe and affordable housing for everyone, that not only impacts that family, but the communities that they live in. So
absolutely.
It's really nice to hear you articulate that in that way. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you about this issue. It's really important.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now we're going to toss it over to Myrna. She's at Rescue Outreach Mission Seminole, joined by Chris Ham, the Executive Director.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. I'm here with Chris Ham. He's the Executive Director for the Rescue Outreach Mission. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Myrna.
So tell us about the Rescue Outreach Mission.
So we were founded in 1987 here in the historic Goldsboro community in Sanford, and we currently operate as the only homeless emergency shelter, caring for our neighbors who are living in the streets, living in their cars, and helping them find permanent housing here in our community.
So how are you addressing, the housing insecurity here in Seminole County?
The number one driver for those experiencing homelessness is exactly that. It's housing insecurity. The average cost of rent is $1,800, $2,000 a month, which is very unattainable for many folks. And so we are seeing a rise in those experiencing homelessness in the last number of years pretty dramatically. So what we do is we actually kind of operate almost like an emergency room, if you will. Folks come in, we provide trauma-informed care. Folks come in, they stay with us. We have dorm rooms for single men, dorm rooms for single women, and then we also have family rooms where our families with children can stay. When they come into our program, what we do is we provide all their meals, all their toiletries, everything they need. And then most importantly, we have what we call case managers. They're kind of like life coaches in the business world. And these case managers are here 7 days a week, including 2 evenings. And every individual, every family works one-on-one with a case manager to help those families succeed. We're really big on equipping and empowering and not enabling. So part of what we do is we sit down with the families and the individuals and talk about what their housing goals are, which is to find housing, permanent housing. And then we write budgets with every individual. We help them if they need to find jobs, we help them with resources, and then they do it on their own in order to find permanent housing in our community.
And how many people, approximately just, receive your services, stay here at the shelter?
So we have 119 beds and we are full every night. Our average length of stay is a little over 55 days right now. And so we have folks here. Last night, we actually had 30 children here under the age of 18 with their families in 16 different family units.
Wow, such a blessing for them during this, period of need. And how do you help them? I know you talked a little bit already about that. How do you transition, that transition for individuals and families for permanent housing? What do you help them with?
Yeah, so when you've met one person experiencing homelessness, you've met one person. And so we tailor-made all of our services, and all of our resources are one-on-one. So if you were meeting with our case manager, there'd be conversations about what is your housing goals? Where do you want to live? And where type of house do you want? A lot of times it's talking with folks about finding rooms for rent, because that's important. The biggest need that we're seeing right now is seniors, because a lot of our seniors in our community are getting priced out of their units that they've been living on. If they're on fixed incomes, the rising cost of rent is just going up every single year. And that's hurting a lot of our seniors on fixed incomes and families with small children.
And you have a wall of keys. So what does that mean?
So this is something we started. We're really proud of it because our focus is to move people from the streets who have been evicted, sleeping in their cars, into permanent housing. So this wall of keys represents every individual this year who's been able to find housing. So this year alone, almost 150 people since January 1st. And last year we helped almost 250 individuals find housing. So when folks get ready to move out, they come over, they hang a key on the board, and we're starting to double and triple up, thankfully. And it's just a visible reminder of that's our focus.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. Thank you so much for what you do here in Seminole County. And thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you.
Joining us is Benito Acosta today. He's with the State Housing Initiative Partnership. He's a program administrator here with Seminole County government. Could you tell us a little bit about your division?
Absolutely. So my division I work for is the Community Development Department for Seminole County. As you mentioned, we use SHIP funds, which is part of a program that the state offers to help housing for our Seminole County residents.
Okay. So what are some of the programs within SHIP that you offer here locally?
In our department, we offer a variety of programs ranging from minor home repair, which that program offers a grant-based assistance of up to $20,000 for anywhere from roof repair or a new HVAC system that our residents can't afford. We also do rehabilitation whenever the home needs a little bit more extensive repair. That budget does go up to $150,000, which is huge for our residents, especially when they don't have the means to pay for some of these repairs. If the home itself isn't in the best condition, we can see about doing a reconstruction on the property, where we'll demolish it and then provide them a brand new home and more peace of mind. The final program that we offer is the down payment assistance program for our first-time home buyers, for individuals that are trying to relocate to Seminole County, or residents that live here that want to be a homeowner.
When you talk about infrastructure upgrades, rehabbing homes, why is that important?
To me, that's important because it provides our residents with a peace of mind and it helps empower them. I know people that walk through our doors, a lot of the times they have set income, they're elderly, and they don't know where they're going to come up with these thousands of dollars to perform some of these repairs. So just having the ability to see if they're eligible and provide them much needed assistance, that way they don't have to think about it for what's going to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And from your perspective, what does living in a safe home, an affordable home, how does that help the community at large when people have safe, affordable homes?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like it provides a sense of pride or, again, empowerment to our residents. They don't feel like they have to fear where they're going to move to next. How am I going to be able to afford my groceries? How am I going to be able to afford this brand new HVAC system?
So if the public wants to know more about SHIP and the programs that you all offer, where can they go?
So if residents are interested in getting some of these forms of assistance, they can reach out to us at 407-665-2300. We also do have an office located here locally in Sanford at 520 West Lake Mary Boulevard, Suite 100, or they can visit our website at seminolecountyfl.gov. On the search bar, search community development, and it'll be one of the first options that appear on there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Access to affordable housing offers a wide range of benefits that support stability and community well-being. Affordable housing provides families with a safe and stable environment to live, grow, and thrive. Reduces financial strain, allowing individuals to focus resources on healthcare, education, and daily needs. Supports employment by locating homes near jobs and transportation, reducing long commutes. Improves mental health by reducing stress associated with housing insecurity. Encourages community engagement and stronger social connections. Helps children succeed academically by offering consistent school access and study space. Reduces homelessness and prevents displacement, promoting long-term neighborhood stability. Affordable housing is powerful in strengthening lives and communities. Explore local programs to learn more.
Hi, we are here with Penny Cedar, CEO of Habitat for Humanity. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having a conversation with me, Dr. Johnson. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks. We're very excited. So, how does Habitat for Humanity work to create affordable housing solutions?
So the cornerstone of Habitat for Humanity really is about homeownership and helping people achieve the American dream of homeownership so that they can have equity and have something to hand down to their families. And that's what we've been doing at Habitat. So I think it's important to think about Habitat as, yes, we're a nonprofit and we're a charitable organization creating housing that is affordable, not free, but definitely affordable. And we're like a full service home buying program. So we put people through a pretty robust education program. We have an application process for people to go through, and we open it up to the general public a few times a year where we gather lots of people that are qualified. There's a qualifying process, and we help our families with down payment resources. So we line up down payment resources, and then of course we build the houses with volunteers, primarily with volunteers. So they help to keep the cost of the labor down a little bit. And it really helps to bring the community together, and they get to know the families that are going to be buying these houses. So we're really full service. I mean, everything from credit counseling to housing counseling to, like I said, we're actually implementing a whole person wellness program in addition to the financial education that we do. And I think one of the most important things is being able to coordinate those down payment resources for a closing, which is not easy.
Right, huge. And maybe I should have asked this first, but what makes someone eligible to apply or eligible to work with you all?
That's a good question. You need to fall under, we serve families under the 80% area median income. So the way to find out what does that mean specifically to you and your family is to go to our website and look at the HUD guidelines. HUD sets those area median income guidelines for the nation, and certainly for our area here in the Osceola, Orange, and Seminole County, what we call metropolitan service area. And so we follow those guidelines. So a lot of the families that apply to our program, they don't always qualify right away. Mm-hmm. So we can send them to our HUD certified housing counselor and credit counselor, and she'll work with people at no cost to them to get them ready to reapply.
So that's very interesting. I really appreciate that explanation, and it kind of reiterates the point you made earlier about, this isn't a free home, this is really an affordable home, and you want to make sure that the families that you work with are going to be able to get into the home and afford it once it's built and once it's their own, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Once you're eligible, can you kind of walk us through what that process would be like for the future homeowner?
Yeah, once a future home buyer, this is really what we call our clients, a future home buyer, is once they're qualified for the program, the journey really looks like going through a pretty robust whole person education curriculum that we've put together. So it's everything from civic engagement to, of course, budgeting, understanding your mortgage, shopping for homeowners insurance, understanding homeowners insurance and your property taxes, to wills and estates. We've been partnering with some hospitals too for things like, where do you get mental health counseling, some parenting classes, some classes about cooking on a budget. So we've got a very robust education program that our families go through, and it's mandatory and it's part of their sweat equity. So a Habitat future home buyer does sweat equity. It's the partnership part of our program. We don't require a large down payment on the home like you would if you were When we go buy a house, we got to put 20% cash on a down payment on the house. For our families, it's putting them through that education process. It's also helping to build their house and other people's houses, or maybe coming into our office to do some administrative work, just helping us with things we need around the office. So there's skin in the game, for sure, but when you are cost burdened, which many of our families are, you can't save that money for a nest egg or for a down payment on a house, because you're barely keeping your head above water. So we do ask our families for that sweat equity, and it sets them up for long-term successful home ownership as well. But that's a key component. That sweat equity is what makes our homeowners successful for the lifetime of their home ownership.
Generally speaking, what would you say are some of the major barriers to home ownership for just average citizens right now?
Well, one of the biggest barriers is that down payment. Saving for that down payment, which we don't require. We do require that our families that they will save for their closing costs, but that's just a small $5,000 amount that they have a whole year almost to save that money. I think, the cost of homes has increased. Before you got here, I was just reading something that construction costs in the last 3 years have gone up 40%, which far outpaces even what feels like crazy inflation these days. People's salaries haven't kept up with the increase in the cost for home, the prices for homes. So the average cost of a home here in Seminole County is $420,000.
Wow.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you think 20% of that, that's like an $80,000 down payment, at least. And that's very, very difficult. So we're here to show people that pathway to home ownership and help them along the way.
Do any of them recount to you stories of the information they've learned while going through this process of purchasing a home, sweat equity, and maybe being able to share that with other folks? Do you see kind of like this residual impact of your work?
Absolutely. In the neighborhood where we're sitting in right now, which is the historic Goldsboro neighborhood, one of my 16 years ago, one of the first families I got to serve when I started here at Habitat, she was on Section 8 housing, had a little girl who was 5, didn't really know where she was going with her life and where she was going to live and how she was going to provide for her daughter. She applied for the Habitat program, didn't make it in, worked on her credit, came back, applied for the program, and we accepted her into the program. And I watched her be able to provide things for her daughter that were not going to be possible. After school activities, piano lessons, activities and other extracurricular things. She also increased her own education. She became a registered nurse. She got lots of people from this community to buy Habitat homes. So it has elevated the entire community because there are more homeowners here, and they have this really great grapevine and way of supporting each other and being on the lookout for one another. And so it's created more community in this area, which I think has been really, really great.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. It's not just building a home, it's really changing folks' life forever and the communities that they live in.
It really is. I've seen the trajectory of a family completely change, breaking a cycle of poverty, having an asset to be able to hand down to their family.
Thank you for sharing that. So if folks want to know more about Habitat, where should they go?
Our website is habitatseminole.org. It's all together one word. Or you can just Google search Habitat near me, and that'll bring us up.
Penny, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure to talk about Habitat for Humanity and spend a little time with you, Dr. Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you to our special guest, and thank you for joining us today. Let's continue to work together where we create healthy neighborhoods where everyone can thrive. See you next time.